a Noctis and Stella fight, Final Fantasy Versus XIII, Fabula Nova Crystallis. I think it's all still in the game. What's good, my fellow peasants? How you all doing? A lot to cover in this video, but what I want to start with is Square Enix saying Fabula Nova Crystallis, that it was no longer part of FF15. Smoke and fucking mirrors, guys. I've been saying it from the start. I'm not the only one convinced of it. All the thematic evidence is there. Even Dean Weiss, shout out to his latest video. He did a video on Fabula Nova Crystallis. Dope video, go check it out. I'll put a link in there. Even he thinks the same. We spoke on Skype, and I've spoken to so many people. And I said in one of my previous videos, I still think Fal'cie in the game. And in Dean's video, he even pointed to the exact same figures that I thought were Fal'cie. He pointed to these, and we're both like, holy shit, we both think the same thing. So many others think the exact same thing, and it's so obvious, guys. I think, as Dean said, really fucking subtle, Square, really fucking subtle, covering new tracks there, and it's because the thematic evidence is just so clear. To me, I've been saying these figures, I think what they represent is basically Fal'cie. I think they're Noctis' cursed ancestors who are based on the original Norse giants, and they will be responsible for bringing about Ragnarok. They are playing part of the game of keeping Ragnarok in a perpetual cycle, essentially a huge theme that was played upon in Final Fantasy XIII Trilogy and Type 0. And there was other things to sort of give evidence that really FF15 hasn't moved away from Versus XIII. And to start that, I need to cover something that came off the back of my FF15 logo video. If you haven't seen it, here's a link for those of you who have. You know the big conclusion I came to, that it could be Noctis in the image, and the dark meaning of it, that it would be Noctis fighting Regis, again due to the curse of the Lucius household, turning him into an exaggerated version of this form of Odin. But guys, it's even darker than that. What if I can convince you with even more evidence that it's representing Noctis, as well as representing Luna, that Regis is still in the logo, that Eos, goddess of the dawn, is in it, and what she represents and the meaning behind that, and how it is even darker than what I said it was, and blow your minds to a whole new level, to a whole new plane of existence. You don't think it's possible, do you? You're thinking, all of that in just that logo? No way, not possible. Peasant, you're out of your damn mind. Well, watch to the end of the video, and I promise to deliver something that's going to leave your head whirring with so many possibilities. So what has brought about this massive discovery of mine? Simple answer, Omnis Lacrima. The song Omnis Lacrima, it's been about 5 of you linked me the video to this, funnily enough, after my FF15 video, logo video, saying, Peasant, check out the lyrics. Check them out, Trev and Chandler, Orhan, to just name a few. Now, I had never seen the lyrics to that song before, so I was sat there wondering, why the fuck is everyone telling me to check out this video? So obviously what I was saying was making a lot of people think back to that video. So I must have been hitting close to the mark on something. So I went away, I checked it out, guys, and indeed, not only did it tie with what I had said in my logo video, it opened my brain to a whole new level of possibilities, a whole new dimension that none of us, not one of us, have considered. So Omnis Lacrima is a song that has been in place since Versus XIII and is still in FF15. Again, how can such a song as that still be relevant, that it can be in both Versus XIII and 15? Smoke and mirrors, guys. Smoke and fucking mirrors. They haven't changed barely at all. And so, I mean, Tabitha kind of admitted that. He kind of said that they've pretty much they tried to keep a lot of it the same. So he's even admitted it. But it's even more than I think any of us realise. Now, going into this song, the most noticeable thing is that it has a male and a female choir who, throughout the song, they sing very separately and in very distinct rivaling tones. At least that's what I get. The men, they sing in very male context, his, him, he. Even this line here, POTUS, the person who did this, can we once again see the dawn? They mistranslated that. It's actually, can he once again see the dawn? And again, male choir was singing it. On top of that, the men, when they're singing, they're also singing of dreams and sleeping. So we have he, him, he, his, dreams, sleeping. It is so clearly referencing Noctis, like so clear, because one plot point Square have hugely emphasised and constantly booted down our throats is that Noctis has a sleeping problem. It was in Brotherhood, it's been in the trailers, it's clearly such an important plot point that I still think it would be such a huge oversight not to see a sleeping figure in a logo as in some way representing Noctis. It has to, surely, in some way. And while I'm here, I'll quickly cover some of those, the common rebuttals to that being Noctis. First was Peasant, it's clearly a woman's face. I don't think so, guys. This is Amanu's artwork. Many of his male characters are depicted with very feminine features. That's normal. I don't think we can make that call. The second point is this figure has really long hair, Peasant. It's female. No, I think that's even less obvious. Look again. Look closely. Is that really hair? Whose hair is that long and narrow? Certainly not Luna's, certainly not Eos, God of the Dawn, in this depiction. So, and no, plus that long trailing thing, it doesn't actually look like it is attached to the top of the head itself. It seems to more merge behind it. And when I looked at that months ago in detail, I concluded it didn't look like hair to me. It looked more like tassels, and that was months ago. And what did we see in the new Kingsglaive trailer? Nyx's glaive outfit had these really long tassels trailing from the back. And of course, what do Noctis and co return to in the end of the game? Glaive outfits. So I think dismissing the possibility of it being Noctis is far too much of an oversight. And despite that being said, as I stated, I also think it could symbolise Luminous Steel. I do think it represents Regis, if you don't believe me on that one. You can actually see, I said it was Odin. You can actually see the mane and spike of Odin's horse at the top. So it is in the logo. But also, I'm going to cover in this video of how it relates to what we know to be Eos, Goddess of the Dawn. But getting back to Omnis Lacrima, so I think the male choir are referring to Noctis very, very heavily. And the female choir, being that they're singing about goddess, feminine terms, and I would say that it is that kind of distinction, because the females are saying our goddess and the men are singing about our master. So it's kind of a very possessive term on both sides. It almost seems like they're rivaling each other in the song. Now with the goddess side of it, obviously what have I been saying, guys? As of late, I've been saying that I believe Luna Freya, who is of course an oracle and communes with the gods and goddesses, she has a connection to the goddesses right then and there, off the bat. I've been saying that I also think she could become a new death goddess. And the reason for that is, of course, we saw this picture, this painting, everyone thought it was Etro, had a Grim Reaper above it. But like I said, if it's not Fabula Nova Crystallis anymore, how can that really be Etro? For all intents and purposes, it is Etro, it does symbolise Etro, so that's why I said I think they'll do a name flip. And that's why I think this whole entire Versus 13 to FF15 is nothing but smoke and fucking shadow, guys, I really do. But I then also went on to say that I think Luna Freya could become a new death goddess. And a lot of you have been saying that. And not only, when everyone's saying that, I then try to think, okay, what kind of evidence have we got that Luna Freya could become a new death goddess? What hints have we had? Well, guys, look at what I've been saying about Norse mythology. I've been saying that the gang are the four sons of Odin. I've been saying Regis is Odin. I've been saying that I think Ravus is Fenrir, and it's only just recently connected that Fenrir's sister in Norse mythology is Hel. And Hel just so happens to be the Norse goddess of death, who is Ravus' sister, of course, Luna. The fucking connection is there that Luna Freya could potentially become a new death goddess. Now, if we apply all of that to Omnis Lacrima again, we would see the men singing on Noctis' behalf and the women singing on Luna Freya's behalf. And like I said, in this song, it came off very much as a rivalry between those two terms. And I thought that before, and then a fucking shiver run up my spine. Guys, what was the core concept of Versus 13? The core principle that we all fucking loved? It was that Noctis and Stella were going to fight. That is what we all loved, and like I said, oh god guys, I think it's still gonna happen, because like I've been saying, all the thematic evidence is there that the whole Fabula Nova disconnected, no, 15's no longer versus 13, that it's just an empty, meaningless flip, and I do believe that. I think it's a meaningless flip, and I even think that the whole Stella being changed to Luna Freya is a fucking hollow flip, guys. I really do. The connections are all there, guys. The whole reason we all loved Stella, the song, it's still in place, and it represents that rivalry. It's there. The whole themes with Noctis are still in there. The whole themes with Luna Freya even clearer now. Of course, back in the day, we couldn't associate Omnis Lacrima as representing the rivalry because we didn't know about Stella. We didn't know that Stella had any connection to the gods or goddesses of Eos, but now we know that about Luna Freya. So if we backtrack, guys, the rivalry is still in place, and it's just been defined as the rivalry between Luna Freya and Noctis. But why? The question is why? Why would Luna Freya ever fight Noctis? Why? They've been friends since childhood. It's the same question of why would Noctis have ever fought Stella back in the day? What was the motive? What was the reasoning? Well guys, I think I have both. The motive, the rhyme, the reason. It's tragic, but it's connected to everything. Norse mythology, Fabula Nova Crystallis, Shadows in the Mist, the lot. This next bit, guys, is gonna blow your minds. Square, I would like to think that they are not so two-dimensional anymore. No, perhaps with the very earliest FFs, but not really anymore. Square never make an enemy, just an enemy, for the sake of being an enemy. We've moved past the points where stories are just about good guys versus bad guys, and the bad guys are just evil, greedy, nasty meanies, and the good guys are the lovable heroes who have never done anything wrong and are sacred and holier than thou. That is not going to go down in FF15, guys, that much I can guarantee you, but that's how it's been portrayed to us. What have we always seen Niflheim as? The bad guys. The bad guys. Of course they're the bad guys. They're the ones who trick poor Regis in a treaty. They're the ones who are trying to steal poor Regis's last remaining crystal. Niflheim are the bad guys. They're the aggressors. No guys, it doesn't go down like that, and it won't go down like that in FF15. And I've been thinking heavily on that. Niflheim, what are their motives? What are their real reasonings? Are they just evil and rotten at the heart of it all, or do they have reasons and justifications for their attack on Lucis? And when I thought of it like that, and I tried to think of it in those contexts, that's when I came up with a motive, guys. So this very much ties to how Type 0 ran its story, because there are so many parallels, and again, this is why I believe Fabula Nova Crystallis is connected. In Type 0, there were 4 nations with 4 crystals, exactly the same as FF15. In Type 0, 3 of those 4 crystals were depleting in power to the point where the only remaining crystal that really had any sort of strong oomph to it left was the Vermilion Bird crystal. Of course, we have that in FF15. The Lucis's kingdom household is literally the last remaining crystal, so the parallels are just so uncanny. Now, Cid Olstein, because his nation's crystals run out of power, his people are starving, they're in poverty, they're dying, and throughout the game they paint Cid Olstein as the Militesi and the Militesi Empire as the bad guys, and then it's only about 3/4 of the way through that it gets flipped, that the people actually view Cid Olstein as their hero. They love him. And it only comes out later that Cid, he's tried to make deals with the Rubrum Empire to share the crystal's power, but it's a no-go, and him fighting for the crystal is a last resort to save his people. Now, could we not see that same parallel being drawn here? If Regis is really not going to share that crystal power, and he is putting the Niflheim Empire in a position where they have no choice but to attack. And why is it that the Lucis' household is the last remaining crystal? No. Does Niflheim have legitimate reason for attacking? Well, guys, it would go back to the pact I've been talking about the pact that Odin made with Mimir, about the curse of the Lucis household. If these are in fact Noctis' cursed ancestors, and they are cursed for the reason of trading in sort of their humanity, for that trade-off of power for that trade-off that their crystal is the only one that keeps going. The fathers and sons of Lucis become a part of the figures that keep a tyrannical rule over mankind, corrupt beings who use mankind like puppets, the very beings that Sid Ollerstein, in Type 0, leader of a desperate, crystalless, magic tech empire, fought to defy. And that's what Niflheim are doing. That's why they are attacking Insomnia. They are going to exterminate the cursed Lucis ancestors, wipe out the Lucis bloodline. That's why it kind of never made sense. That's why they seem so desperate beyond reason to kill and hunt Noctis. Why they are so desperate to hunt him. No, and the Niflheim Emperor know about the Dark Lucis secret, and if you don't believe me on that one, if you don't think the mission of Niflheim is to kill cursed Lucis ancestors, think again, guys, and look at this trailer. Here's the proof, guys. The diamond weapon looking creature we all speculated that Niflheim had built fights the Yojimbo, however it's pronounced, looking being. That's the creature that's on the game cover, and that's the one that I called as a Lucis ancestor. They are fighting. That's the reason why Niflheim built giants of their own, to take out what they knew would be residing within the walls of Insomnia. They built their own giants directly to kill the cursed Lucis ancestors, and that's why Idola says all that is left is to break this city. That is why Nyx accuses Regis in the movie of sacrificing the whole of Lucis just to save his son. That's why we have this picture of Insomnia in total ruin. Niflheim don't give a fuck about the city. They just want the Lucis crystal, and they just want its corrupt bloodline wiped from existence. And more proof of that being the true nature of this battle, you want some? Here it is. And that is the motive of Luna fighting Noctis. Did I not say that this is how I envision the hierarchy structure of EOS to be? Summons being guardians of the planet. We've had that canonically confirmed by Square. Gods and goddesses of EOS above that, which is where I put Luna. She communes with them as an oracle. As I said, she could also possibly become one if that Norse connection is there. And above that, we have the shadows in the mist, the not so discreet beings that were originally going to be the game's Fal'cie, the ones who manipulate the gods and use humans as their puppets. We kind of use everyone as their puppets. And being that they are Noctis's ancestors, that puts Noctis on that tier. So we have gods on the tier below associated to Luna being used by the tier above the tier that is associated with Noctis and his ancestors. And that's the rivalry right there, guys. And even going back to the logo, a lot of you said quite rightly that looks like Leviathan. Well, if I'm right about all of this, about this rivalry, about this being an endgame spoiler like all the other Fabula Nova Crystallis logos, then could we not see this as being Leviathan at the end of the game? And it goes back to Norse mythology. In Norse mythology, Ragnarok only happens when all the gods, goddesses and guardians, it says that, and guardians of the world are dead. Well, if that's the case, then that would mean, or we could translate that as this logo meaning, Leviathan will be the last astral at the end. And that would mean that Leviathan's survival would be integral to the plot, integral to holding back Ragnarok. And that would connect straight back to my theory that Gentiana is Leviathan. And that puts so much importance on Gentiana's character. Gentiana's survival would then be the one thing holding Ragnarok back. That would place so much importance on her character. And not just that, it would put Gentiana at odds with Noctis for the exact same reason that Luna is at odds with Noctis, because his ancestors want Ragnarok. They want the guardians of the world dead to bring about another cycle. They are actually the bad guys, not Niflheim. And Noctis, he is ignorant of all of it. He fights and kills Titan because he believes he has to for whatever reason in the trial of the Titan, staining his hands with the guilt of it. And if you want some proof of that, if you want some proof of why, Regis and Noctis, they're the good guys at heart, but the Lucis household is not the guilt-free nation we think they are, guys. Look at the Genesis picture. I've pointed out these as being the Knights of the Round. There's 12 of them, and below summons. These are the summons. I'm going to be doing a dope collab with another FF YouTube on this, by the way, on this subject. If you know him, guys, Alisson, I'm doing a video on him. My first collab with a fellow FF fan. Please be excited. But look at this picture for what I'm saying on clues about how Gentiana will be an enemy of Noctis' household. Look at that. It's Leviathan being spiked, and how can I prove that the killer is one of the Lucis household members? Look at these swords, guys. They are pointing down at the summons, and these winged beings are representing members of the Lucis household, maybe even Kingsglaive members. How do I know that? Because Ultros over here is fighting with one, also getting stabbed by one as well. And what did we see in Kingsglaive? Nyx fighting Ultros. It connects with what I'm saying. It connects with the swords pointing down at them. It connects with the true nature of the Lucis household. They are not the good guys we think they are. They did the poster back in Versus 13 here to make it seem that way, that the Lucis guys were the good guys on the right and the bad guys, Niflheim, on the left, and sort of with Noctis and Stella at either end. It's not that black and white, it's a ruse, it's a flip. In fact, Lucis at this point could really be more the bad guys than the good. If what their household is responsible for, I think they could be. I think it could be a total flip to trick us. Niflheim, they do have a reason to attack, just like Noctis and Stella would have had a justifiable reason to fight each other. If Lucis are responsible for a lot of the world's suffering, and that's why they're being ganged up on, it would be just like Type 0 when Sid Olstein, leader of what appeared to be an evil Magitech empire, trying to steal the last crystal, but he was actually trying to defy the Fal'cie, the same figures we're seeing in FF15. He was trying to free mankind from the god of gods, using mankind as puppets. We could even see this picture as depicting that. These figures at the bottom, we could see these as representing mankind below, subjugated by the 12 Lucis ancestors above. And if that is what Niflheim are fighting to end, that's what's going to put Luna as an enemy we face, just as Stella once was. It ties to Dean White's wedding theory video. I don't know if any of you have seen that. That Luna could indeed be an enemy. And that is what the Plague of the Star is. I said from day one it symbolised Ragnarok. And that is what Luna is trying to hold back. Noctis' ancestors are responsible for bringing it, and she's responsible for holding it back. And if this is the perpetual thing that is going on in this game, this perpetual Ragnarok, if this is what is going down, how do you end a perpetual cycle of anything, guys? You have to remove those responsible, and this is where things get really dark, guys. Really dark. Come with me as we descend into the final, true dark heart of the FF15 story. Now, I theorized that this would be the reason Noctis would fight Regis. That Noctis would be the one to break the cycle of Ragnarok and free his father from the curse. That is what I theorized. But the problem in that logic, when I thought about it, and the chilling part, I can actually feel the chill up my spine now. The grand finale is just, as it said in the Dawn trailer, the father could only mourn his son's fate. Noctis carries the curse of his ancestors also. He is one of the Lucis ancestors. He is a part of the bloodline. And guys, that makes him a loose end. That makes him the loose end. Noctis, of course, he has not had a son, so the cycle, the curse, the corrupt Lucis bloodline here ends with Noctis, and that means that Noctis' removal is quintessential to the story. Luna killing Noctis, fighting Noctis, would be the loose end, and that would be the great tragedy. That would be the great tragedy that would make all of us cry that Tabitha spoke of. Now, the words tragedy and betrayal have been emphasised from day one, and Noctis could even know that. Imagine it, guys, imagine it now. Noctis kills his cursed father to free him. He's standing over Regis' body. At that point, they believe that the curse is going to be over. that the Lucis household made for power, for keeping their crystal as the only one going. But the darkness still lingers after his father's death. It doesn't lift, it doesn't make sense. And then, in a moment of pure angst, with Luna there also, Noctis realizes he is the loose end. And he has to die. Oh, is that it, guys? Is that it? Is that the tragedy? If so, that is more tragic, more dark than anything I anticipated this game to be. And it all connects. It connects in every thematic way, even back to what is the Lucis household colour? Black. What is their insignia? Skulls, Grim Reapers, death. Now, the original concept of the Lucis household was that they were a mafia family. How can any household who are going to be considered the good guys be associated to that kind of symbolism, to those kind of insignias? This is the reason, guys. The Lucis household are a household of death and destruction, of darkness. They are not the good guys we think they are. They are responsible for bringing about the perpetual cycle Ragnarok, for keeping it in place. That's the trade-off that they're making for their crystal's power. And it gives Niflheim and Tenebrae perfectly acceptable and reasonable motive to attack. Why are they the bad guys, guys? We assumed it. But this is not it. This is a flip. This is deception. We've all been deceived. They're not the bad guys. It's actually the Lucis household. That's all I got, guys. And while I was on that lyric thing as well, I also looked up the lyrics for Somnus, another song in the game. And here it said, the kingdom sleeps, again, sleeps, another thing about sleeping. The children sacrifice themselves day by day, and they will never awake. They will never awake. And this is going to bring me on to another point, but I just want to point out a bit below. This tragedy destroys in front of them every beloved thing. So again, another kind of apocalyptic Ragnarok type thing there. Is that another? I'm going to throw that in. I don't give a fuck when it says I'm calling that as Ragnarok again. That is going into the Ragnarok part. I have a fucking file now of about 9 different Ragnarok connections. But just going back up to that point, and they will never awake. Well, guys, if what I'm saying is right and Noctis is going to die, if the curse ends with him, guys, let's go back to the fucking logo. Of course, the logo represents Eos, goddess of the dawn. If that is indeed a sun, the sun rising, the dawn coming, well, the dawn would only come after Ragnarok at the end, after the plague of the star arrives, the darkest night, what we've seen at the end of the game. Well, what if that isn't a sleeping figure? What if Noctis isn't sleeping? What if that figure's dead, guys? Holy shit. What if that logo is dead Noctis? And that would make it, like I said, if it ends with Noctis, if this perpetual cycle of darkness that the Lucis household are responsible for, if it ends with Noctis, then his death would bring about the dawn. That would be the end of it. And that would be the logo. It would be Noctis's dead body as the dawn rises. It would be the end of the darkest night, the night that the plague of the star was bringing about. The dawn would signal the end of the darkest night that the Lucis household was responsible for. And guys, what does Noctis's name mean? It means night. Now, oh god, does that mean that Luna Freya might kill Noctis? Does that even mean that she might herself die as well? I mean, Luna means moon. The moon disappears with the dawn. And like it says in Somnus, the children will never awaken. Is this the children they're talking about? Our beloved Noctis and Luna. Is that what Eos, goddess of the dawn, is going to do? Is that what the logo means? Is that sleeping figure even a combination of both Noctis and Luna? And the Eos, goddess of the dawn, is going to take away our 2 main protagonists? Square Enix, surely you wouldn't. Surely you're not that evil. Surely you've not become that evil. I mean, you got pretty dark in Type 0. You killed a fucking chocobo, and oh god, what they did at the end of Type 0. I wouldn't put them past them to do what I'm suggesting, guys. I'm not going to say for spoilers, but oh shit. I need everyone's opinions on this, guys. I'm going to leave it there. My mind is shutting down. My body is numb. Until the next video, guys. Cooper.